Hello and good day, Welcome to the Super Good Camping Podcast. My name is Pamela.
I'm Tim.
And we are from supergoodcamping.com. We're here because we're on a mission to inspire other people to get outside and enjoy camping adventures, such as we have as a family. Today's episode, we wanted to talk about camping in a changing climate, how wildfire risk and weather extremes are changing the way we go camping. So we had a couple of stories, just a couple of parks that have been impacted by climate events. There was a downburst at St. Lucie Champlain that resulted in closure of that park for the whole 2025
Just massive
season.
devastation.
Yeah, our friend Josie was just also devastated by the devastation.
It's her favorite park.
Yeah. And then
there's way less trees than it used to be.
Well, there's been culling of trees at other parks that we've been to, and some of that's been
for invasive species and stuff,
and then...
But that's part of the... Well, I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but that's part of the climate change as well.
Yeah, bugs that are thriving in the changing environment. And in 2025, there were 521 wildfires in the province of Ontario. And that is not necessarily in provincial parks, but we were talking earlier about how that, despite it might not be in the park you're camping at, the weather quality in the park you're camping at is certainly impacted by it. I mean, here in Toronto, we're impacted by the weather quality from the wildfires.
Wildfire smoke, for sure.
Never were. This is only recently in the last couple of years that's been suddenly an issue.
Yep, the planet's burning. Stop supporting fossil fuel companies. Just saying.
Now you're going to get
There's my politics.
Now we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and if you can hear the jackhammering in the background, my apologies. We've got some clowns across the road that think that working on a Sunday is fine and disturbing everybody else. And while we're recording a podcast, for crying out loud.
Yeah, we've actually tried to work around the noise across there, but they've had saws going and now jackhammers going.
Yes, no win.
And every time we kind of sat down to record something. So smokier skies, more fire bans, unpredictable weather. Those are kind of the short version of what you might expect.
Yeah, and you're what we seem to be finding, and certainly I want to say for sure the last 5, 6, 7 years, everything is just more intense weather-wise, right? Like we're hearing more and more about these downbursts and microbursts and stuff where, it's not a tornado or anything like that, but it has that kind of very localized, limited sort of devastation. If you ever get the opportunity to take a look at some of the pictures that Josie actually took a bunch of St. Lucie Champlain, and it's flat, man. I know that we often get seemingly heavier rains,
just torrential downpours that
like in a blink of an eye, and your poof, you've got 50 millimeters, 75 millimeters of rain in literally a handful of hours, and so flooding.
Flash floods, we can get, if you're in a tent when that's happening and water's all flooding through your campsite, you can expect you're going to be wet.
You'll be looking for a dryer in the morning, or if you're in a campground, if you're, in the backwoods, well, here's hoping the sun comes out tomorrow and you can hang
some wind to dry stuff up. So longer, more severe fire seasons, more bans, more closures. And I think we've certainly seen that too with more fire bans. We weren't sure when we went to Georgian Bay whether we were going to have a fire ban.
Yes, and I've gotten way better at figuring out how to look up fire bans. So you go to the Ontario Parks. If you're in Ontario, go to the Ontario Parks website for that specific park. They will have whether there's a fire ban in effect, but also local municipalities. So I ended up looking. I'm pretty sure it was Georgian Bay was actually the municipality that I looked up to see what their take on it is, because municipalities and Ontario Parks might not have the same, it's a slightly different location, whatever, right?
Fire regulations might vary.
Might vary. Ontario, the province of Ontario has different regulations than a lot of the municipalities do. So they have a different, the scale's the same, but they don't necessarily apply it the same.
Well, this past summer, we had such a dry summer. So the forest then is drier. There's less water to put out forest fires if there is a forest fire. Less water access, less water for you to drink. So you have to be careful to make sure that you're filtering water if you're drinking from a lake or a stream.
Yep. And it's so things that also happen are if you have a fire, right? And it doesn't, you're not in a fire ban location. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're safe to have that fire. And we've seen enough people not practicing good
fire hygiene.
We've got, so I now have a collapsible bucket that I immediately fill with and put beside before I even light the fire, so that it's already there, fill with water. But there's because we're not getting enough rain or as much rain, root systems are quite dry, and so you get sort of peat moss and that sort of jazz between the roots. So if you have a fire, it can very easily light all that. I know it sounds like weird that dirt catches fire, but it does. It's peat, it's loamy, and it can burn in the root system for ages. You may think you have put the fire out, but come back and find that an island's been burnt to the ground to just stone because there wasn't enough water in the root system to keep it from catching fire.
So
Smouldering.
Douse that, make it
Close her down,
fire
baby.
soup.
Yep. Fire soup.
And outside of that, there's changing biodiversity because of the change in the climate. So different animal activity, worsening bugs. So black flies, ticks, mosquitoes, they like the warmer temperatures. The mosquitoes like those, like when you do get that downfall and the water can't drain away, you've got more standing water. And then different seasons for plants to grow or bloom or not grow.
Well, but you mentioned black flies. So we went on a paddling course in the spring. There were black flies and mosquitoes despite the cold temperatures. And we went again just back here in September and into early October, second round of black flies. I, in my entire life, don't ever remember 2 rounds of black flies in the year, just in the spring.
And the first round's bad enough. Yeah, the other one.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, so the park itself might be undergoing some infrastructure challenges just because of the heavy rains or wind or whatever is coming your way. So you might have washouts on the roads. You might have the facilities are damaged. So just also be aware of that you might not be able to access where you want to go because your road is washed out or the park something's been damaged because of the wind or the rain.
Yeah, I think probably what it all sort of heads towards is being adaptable, being flexible with your planning. Don't just go with one plan. I mean, I never do, but I'm also a bit of a whack job. So
we love you for that, though.
Yeah. Plan the crap out of it. Make sure you've got alternate availabilities for, if you're going somewhere where you're 6 hours away from where you are now, you can read all you want. It may not quite sink in what you're about to be dealing with because it's so different from where you are, in a weather way.
Yeah, like here in Toronto, if you're driving 3 or 4 hours north, the weather could be entirely different from what we're getting. Monitor conditions. So the Park Canada does have an app. So if it's a national park, you can use Parks Canada app. But Ontario parks do not have an app. So you just need to check their website. Use the air quality index, like Weather Network, things like that will give you the air quality index. They'll give you the bug report as well, and check local news before you go. And just be prepared. So use the Scouts Canada motto, be prepared that you've got your waterproof gear, just especially if there's predictions during your trip that there's going to be some weather. You've got sun protection, you've got layers because if the temperature is changing, you also, as far as your gear, want to make sure that your gear will hold up to heavy rains or wind if need be.
Yeah, and try not to contribute to the climate change. And yes, fossil fuel is bad. As much as anything, what you do when you're camping, try to do the practice leave no trace. Eco-friendly gear, solar lights. So you're not batteries. Great if you live in my building, your batteries get recycled. If you don't live in my building, your batteries end up in the garbage. Don't do that.
Which is terrible for me.
It's horrible. It's the leaching of mercury and stuff it's a personal pet peeve. Reduce your carbon footprints. don't, which we as a camping community are terrible at, because we all very seldom carpool, and we drive long distances in not environmentally friendly vehicles, generally big ass trucks.
We all have to get EVs.
Yeah.
Well, and so health and safety, if you do happen to be camping in extreme weather, stay hydrated, especially with the heat and the dry conditions. Try to stay in the shade if you can. Try to recognize the signs if somebody in your party is suffering from heat exhaustion. So if they're sweating profusely, but their skin feels cool and clammy, they've got a fast or weak pulse, they're having muscle cramps, headaches, nausea, or extreme thirst, all of that, or they just seem a bit out of it. Sometimes that's all you'll notice, is that they seem like they're not really all there.
Are you saying I'm suffering from it all the time?
No. Smoke exposure wise, so N95 masks, air filters in your RVs, monitoring the air quality index before you leave, especially if you've got somebody who's susceptible in your party. So, that your child or somebody suffers from asthma, that unfortunately may mean canceling your trip because they can't be out there breathing the wildfire smoke. Flood awareness, so pitching your tents in the appropriate spot so you're not on the downside of your site, because that's the low part, is the place where the water's going to settle.
We've unfortunately seen that before.
And just also being aware of insect-borne illness, so increasing tick and mosquito activity with the warmer, and especially if it's moisture weather, is going to mean more bugs. And so tick inspections, just to make sure nobody's carrying a tick around.
And carry tick kit with you.
Tick kit and careful tick removal, because if you preserve the tick and then you can send it to public health and they can check it for Lyme disease, just so that way if unfortunately you were bitten by a tick, whether it's one that's bearing Lyme disease, and you can certainly wear your protective bug gear. And then otherwise, we just wanted to kind of summarize that you can still camp even though climate change is happening. It can still be enjoyable, but you have to be adaptable and aware and prepared for it. And then just check your local parks to see whether they do have any climate adaptation programs, or even just educational programs. It would be great to take your kids to an educational program about how climate change might affect camping, or things that we can do to mitigate climate change. And that's it for me.
Which is me as well.
That's it for us for today. Thank you so much for listening. Please do tune in again soon, and you can reach out to us on all of the social media. We are everywhere, and we would love to hear from you. And if you want to email us, we are at hi@supergoodcamping.com. That's hi@supergoodcamping.com. And we will talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.